Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, Love in Paradise, the Caribbean. Let's watch.
If we want to be a relation, I need to move to California. I need.
Yeah, so Kay is bringing up a good point that they've been working on this episode, which is that for Mark, I'm looking at my cheat sheet, Mark and Kay, he is saying, if we're going to communicate, you have to speak English. I'm not going to speak Spanish. I mean, he isn't saying that directly, but essentially he's saying that with his actions. If we're going to be in a relationship, you have to move to California, which is indicative. I don't know if this is a factor for Mark, but it's a male thing to do, to make women to move into their world. It's also an American thing to do, and good for Kay for pushing back on that. Now, maybe there are other factors for Mark of just like, look, in order for me, I can't work here. My job is back home, or whatever it is. But, that is worth pointing out. Now, I think Mark is open to Kay saying, you know what, I just don't know if I can do that. And I think he's disappointed, but I don't think he's controlling. He really wants her to come to the States. He really wants, and maybe he's open to learning Spanish over time. But anyway, it's just worth pointing out the way that this coincides with male privilege and American privilege.
I realized that I have a lot of love for Mark, but I'm not in love with Mark. I think it's too soon to move to California.
Okay, so good for Kay for being able to say that and investigate that in herself. We see sometimes on the show that people seem to exhibit that they're not really in love with someone, but they have a hard time admitting that. I've actually experienced that with clients and people, friends of mine, who stay in relationships a lot longer than they want to deep down. And so for Kay, she's investigated it. And she is saying, look, I have a lot of feelings for him, but I don't love him enough to move to California with him and spend the rest of my life and give up everything that I have here. And she's telling him that directly. And I didn't show this clip, but he called her cold, which I don't know what he means by that, but typically that's an insult, as if to say that she is somehow a bad person or doesn't have a heart and maybe that's how it feels to him. And, we could respect that he's hurt and he's upset. But to call her cold, I don't think that's fair. To say that it feels cold and she feels cold to him, I think is fine. But anyway, so, that's tough. You feel bad for Mark. Mark came down hoping that she would fall in love and come with him and spend the rest of, their lives together. It didn't work out. So, hopefully Mark can recover.
Cold water.
If the pipes are out in the sun and they get hot, can't the water be a little warm?
We have plastic pipes. It's not like iron.
So they're not getting hot?
Not like hot.
I have never stayed somewhere where there is not hot water unless I'm camping, and I do not go freaking camping.
This is my little kitchen.
Yikes. So, look at my sheet here, Ariana and Sherlon. So Ariana, I haven't been showing the clips, has been on a campaign to have Sherlon, the father of her unborn child, to come to the States on a K-1 and marry her. And Sherlon is saying, we've spent 2.5 weeks together total from the time she came down before and now. And I don't know if I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I want to be a part of my child's life, but I don't know if I want to marry her. I barely know her. We had a fling, for a couple weeks while she was on vacation. And so I'm not really quite sure. And I think that's a totally rational attitude. And she honestly should have that attitude as well of, I don't know if I want to marry him, but she just seems completely determined, even though they don't seem to have a lot of compatibility. Who knows? Anyway. So then the mother and the sister are going back to the States, and Ariana is planning to stay with Sherlon in his house. And Sherlon is saying, I don't think Ariana's going to like it here because she's used to the resort side of Jamaica, whereas I live in real Jamaica. And they walk in and Ariana, has this attitude about this place like it's a crappy place that's beneath her or something because it doesn't have warm water. And it's like, do you think Sherlon is doing that on purpose? Do you think he said, you know what, I want a home, but no hot water. How about you realize this is a different country and that they have different things going on there that aren't necessarily on purpose? So let's watch.
I like to be perfect in everything I do, so I am stressed. I'm the type of person that I take charge, I handle everything right away, and through this last year, I just felt like I was losing control.
Interesting. So good. She is able to talk about her vulnerabilities here and her personality in a way that we don't usually hear. And she has that self-awareness that she has a hard time with. I mean, she's not saying this, but she has a hard time losing control. And her way of coping with it is to try to get more control. So there's some kind of trauma there, I'm guessing, in her childhood. Some often, or not often, but sometimes it's alcoholic parents or divorcing families or maybe even a sibling that had a lot of chaos or something. But for her, maybe her safety was within control and stability and predictability. And when things are unpredictable, it's very, very scary for her. And she panics and she tries, and a lot of what she's dealing with right now is out of her control because she's trying to get Daniel, that's her name, right? Amber and Daniel. She's trying to get Daniel to do the K-1 visa legal process, and he's not doing it, or he's having trouble getting the time or something. And there's a lot of things up in the air. And so she gets really scared, which she's able to admit right now, which is great. Now, another thing we can talk about here is perfectionism, and I've done a deep dive on perfectionism. But the brief synopsis is that for some people, they are highly driven for perfection or for high achievement and have a really hard time when things aren't quite right. There's also a compulsive aspect to some people where they need things to be very orderly, and they have a lot of anxiety when things aren't orderly. There's also a piece of overfunctioning, which we've talked about before. I don't know if she has that tendency, but they seem to be going in that direction where she's overfunctioning, he's underfunctioning, where he's acting like the child, she's acting like the mom, and as he acts like a child, she acts more like a mom, and as she acts more like a mom, he starts to act like a child. So she's talking, I think, along those lines as well. But let's see how they talk about it. It seems like there's a good level of self-awareness and a good conversation that's happening between her and Daniel.
You know, you are 23. You are. You know, and I'm 30. What is it for some young girl to come by who's prettier than me, smarter than me, probably not funnier than me?
So good. This is good. She is laying it all out there instead of getting angry, instead of accusing. She's talking about her insecurity, which is great. It is okay. A lot of, if not all of us, have what Amber is talking about. That's her name, right? I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember their names. So Amber is expressing an insecurity that we all have. You know, what if someone better comes along and you like them better than me? I think all of us can relate, and she's talking about that, which is great. And it gives him the opportunity to know that, and that can explain why she gets upset, and it gives him an opportunity to rise to the occasion and reassure her that he loves her. Let's see what he does.
Hi.
You have to do for me. You have all my heart. You have all that. We are about to get married.
I know.
So this cannot happen again. The truth is more important in the relationship. Okay?
Now, I will say that her upsetness, I thought, was completely justified. They are sitting in a bar. He gets up to go to the bar, and seemingly a stranger walks up to him, starts to obviously flirt with him, and he reciprocates for a while. So I think her feelings were justified. Does that indicate he's cheating or that he's a dog or something? Not necessarily, of course, but I'm not ready to say that she overreacted or that she was unjustified in her upsetness. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really do.